Welcome to this mini lecture on the Chakra Cleanse and Removal Process. My name is Cyan Pascal. I'm the founder of The Light Collective. We are an online yoga school and studio, and a lot of this work is coming from our yoga teacher training. So our 200-hour YTT, which we run, and our advanced yoga teacher training called The Method. And we really draw a lot upon the subtle body and the tantric tradition. It's a huge part of my passion as a yoga teacher and the work that we put out into the world. So let's get into chakra cleansing and removal. If you have started to go down the path of the chakras, you might have read somewhere online that you can get somebody like a healer to cleanse your chakras for you, or even there are some people online who are saying that they can remove your chakras for you. And, then there's other people saying, I had my chakra removed and it was the best thing I ever did. And there's a lot of this that is happening online. And what I want to say is that this never has been part of the tradition of the chakras. So both of these ideas are pretty new, very new age philosophy. And look, you might be somebody who loves new age philosophy, and I think that new age philosophy can be really awesome myself. I think there is lots in it. But you also might be somebody who is really interested in what the truth of the chakras and the subtle energy body is from a classical tantric perspective. So within classical tantra, if you're interested in this history and how things could have been so different from the history and the actual practices that went on for about 1,000 years, and the books and everything that was written about the chakras, and then this kind of modern day chakra understanding, like where did it all go wrong? Have either a read of our blog post or go back and watch our short, I think it's about 15 minutes, on the history of the chakras. It'll give you a little bit of an understanding of what has happened in the West and also India for it to be that you cannot walk down Lakshmanjula Bridge in Rishikesh without some dude coming up to you and saying that he is going to cleanse your chakras and he can see that your navel chakra is all out of balance and he's going to do something for you. Now, this kind of attitude was not part of the classical tantric tradition. The attitude to working with the chakras was like this. There were many different systems, but you always had a master or a teacher, or for want of a better word, a kind of personal guru who was initiating you into specific chakra practices. So there was, at the start of this process, when you started to go much deeper into it, a kind of rite, a spiritual rite, a vinyasa, a series of practices that the teacher would do to you and for your chakras as a way of kind of connecting you to them. So there was this sense that a teacher would do a practice on you for the chakras. But then after that, every practice was one that was your practice, your kind of daily self practice. And this is where the classical tradition and this idea that we need to kind of outsource our healing and our cleansing, and we need to somehow remove something in our subtle energy body can be done by somebody else. This is something that's very new, because in the classical tradition, there was this idea that you got on your mat every day and you did a very specific practice that your teacher had given you to work through the chakras. And you were personally kind of cleansing and clearing all the blockages that arose and awakening yourself to elevated states of consciousness and moving through an integrated awakening liberation process this way. So it wasn't that you were ever outsourcing. You were always doing this every day. And the incredible thing about the tantric tradition was that it wasn't just the priests who knew about this kind of work. It was everyday people like you and me. Householders is the name that they use. So men and women were included in this. People who had jobs and families would sit down every day and do their own daily practice. And this personal daily practice, which is something that I'm really huge on and is something that we teach in our online studio, we teach in our yoga teacher trainings to really get clear on your own daily practice. Every day you're starting to work on your subtle energy body and work on the chakras yourself. So needless to say, there was never any kind of psychic surgery happening in the classical tantric tradition to remove your chakras, and be very wary of anybody who says that they are able to cleanse and clear your chakras. And I'm not saying that they can't, but just be really wary of that person's intentions and their capabilities before you spend potentially hundreds of dollars. I've had incredible energy healings and Reiki healings in my life, so I'm not saying that these practices or these facilitators don't do good work, but be really cautious around the idea of somebody else clearing or removing your chakra. It's not a thing that was part of the tradition, but you can start to work on your chakras through your own personal daily self-practice. It's a really powerful thing to do. And if you're wanting some of the specific practices, then I highly recommend you do one of our trainings where you can get initiation into the kinds of classical tantric practice that was available to the tantrikas 1,000 years ago. Thank you for listening.